theatres in Europe. It's the oldest in Ireland. This year it celebrated its 355th birthday, but as a new reopened theatre, it's celebrated its 5th birthday. So we class ourselves as Dublin's oldest, newest theatre for that reason. It was first built in 1662 under King Charles II. Obviously Ireland and England were the one country at the time, and the King was a huge fan of theatre, and when the monarchy was restored, he brought a lot of French influence back into England from when he was raised. And his main passion in life was theatre, had a huge interest in it. He opened theatres across London, and he gave money to a man named John Ogilvy to open up a Theatre Royal here in Dublin. And this is the building that he built. I think what makes the theatre so unique is its history. It's been here for a very, very long time, 355 years, as I said. It's seen a lot of changes, not only to the building itself, but also the city that it stands in. It was built as a theatre. It was then converted into a warehouse. It was then converted into a Catholic church. It was then converted into the Viking Adventure Centre, and now it's back to its original purpose, being a theatre. Culture Night is probably one of the most upbeat evenings that we have here. There's always so many people around the city. They're really enthusiastic about getting to see the buildings that they pass on a regular basis but never actually go into. So it's fantastic for us to be able to welcome people into the building, show them as much as we can, give them an overview of the history, and hopefully encourage them to come back on another time to see a show here in the building. We do historical tours of the building, so we'll start outside. We'll give everybody a general overview of the history, not only of the theatre but also the city itself, where it's built. We are built in the medieval part of the city. We'll then bring them inside, talk to them about the actors and actresses that started their careers here during the restoration period. We can show them some of the artefacts that were unearthed here when we had the archaeological dig before we reopened. Some of the props and costumes will be on display from previous shows. The bell is probably the most important aspect of the building from its history as a church. It's known as the Liberty Bell, and it was installed illegally on the Catholic Church during the time of the penal laws, because the penal laws didn't allow churches to have bells. So the bell was put in illegally. The authorities told the parish priest that he could keep it, but under no accounts was he to ring it. But after a lot of consternation and protests outside the church, one Sunday he decided to ring it, and it was the first Catholic bell to ring in Ireland for 300 years, and it happened 18 years before Catholic emancipation. There is a longer story as to why there's a very large crack running up the side of it and why it's called Dublin's Liberty Bell, but you'd have to come along on Culture Night to find that out. There's a lot of spaces in the building. A lot of people think it's just the main theatre downstairs, but there is a lot to it. Even the foyer itself is historically significant. It would have been the front entrance of the church, but it was also the back entrance of the theatre, so it would have been the backstage area where actors would have prepared, gotten costumes, things like that. So even from the minute you step inside the door, actually before you even step inside the door, the steps at the front are significant because there are 3 holes carved into the steps which are known as stink holes, which look into the crypt which is underneath the foyer, and those holes actually allow the smell of the rotting bodies out and a bit of fresh air in. So before you even walk in through the front doors, there's history everywhere. You then have the main theatre space, which is the original theatre itself. Originally it would have opened out onto Cowes Lane, but now that's a fire exit, that's the emergency exit out of the building. Then there is the boys' school, which is right next door. It's an adjacent building, but it's connected to our building. It's got a performance space in it as well. It was originally the director's house, and then it was converted into a school for destitute children by the church. And then we bring everybody up here to this space, and we finish the tour up here. This is probably obviously the most impressive, and it gives you the best view of what the building looked like when it was a church. We have a lot of shows on over Culture Night as well, so even if you come along to Culture Night, you could possibly go in to see a show afterwards if they're not sold out, or vice versa. When you come out from a show, you could go on one of the tours that are here. So we'll be starting the tours at 5 o'clock in the evening and run right up until 10:30 at night. So it's going to be jam-packed. There's always a great interest from people. The tour group numbers grow exponentially. You start outside with 30, 40 people, and all of a sudden when you finish up in here, you might have 100 following you around. They just sort of appear from nowhere. So of course it's very kid-friendly as well, so you can bring your entire family down to the tour.